Okay. Get my theme music going here because I just love this podcast music. So here we go.
Impressive.
That's audiophile, people.
That's rocking.
Here one more time. I know you love it. Here one more time. I know you love it. Oh, someone's got echo on.
So mute your YouTube.
Yeah, someone mute your YouTube. Oh, someone's got echo on.
I don't have any YouTube going.
Probably me.
Yeah, someone mute your YouTube. Hello.
Is that better?
Hi, Melinda.
That's good.
Is it gone? Is
Okay.
it gone?
It was
Melinda.
my, it was my
I think
phone.
we're good.
It's the rookie.
Hey, Melinda. Hey, Melinda.
Hey, Melinda.
Greetings, everybody. It is Sunday, and this is the Sound Advice Roundtable number 2, and we have more people to dazzle you with their brilliance. We have Mr. Tim from the University of Vinyl from the great state of Colorado in the brand new man cave. And we have George Borden from the ultra liberal side of California, and the pride of Oakland, George Borden. Where'd you say you're from? Oakland, George? Is that where you?
It's Piedmont. It's an area of Oakland.
Okay. That's the good part of Oakland, people. That's not the bad part of Oakland. So
For now.
just so you know, yeah, George is in the good part of Oakland. But so we have recurring members. Of course, there's Jason Rojas. Yes, with the heretofore known as the Led Zeppelin "Make You Cry" guy. So
Right.
50th anniversary of Pink Floyd with new artwork that looks crappy. So
Yes.
The truncated concert.
Yeah, that's
produced by Pink Floyd. Wow, it's like one of the guys is dead.
Who's in Pink Floyd?
I don't know. I heard Roger Waters has his own version too. So there's Jason. He is in warm and tropical Minneapolis, I do believe. Somewhere cold. There's Thor from the great state of Germany, recently annexed by the United States. And me, I'm Patrick, and I am in California, but I am a Texan. And if you're a Texan, you're always a Texan. So I'm a Texan living in California. And below me is the man, the myth, the legend, John Flipside Bandy from my old home of. You live in Odessa, right? That's Odessa, not Midland. You live in
we call it affectionately
Slow Detha. You live in the actual bad part of Midland, Odessa. You know, there's Midland and Odessa. You don't really want to be in Odessa. You really wanted to be in Midland, but yeah, right. I lived in both. But so, thanks everyone for being here. We have this is kind of like where we just kind of talk about music that we love, but music we want to find the best sounding versions of the albums of the music that we love. So that's kind of like the purpose here. We really, yes, questions are appropriate anytime. I'll try to star them, and then hopefully we can get to them and answer them during the show. So if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and type them out. And anybody here if you see one that I missed, let me know. Anybody else? So we can go around the room if somebody wants to talk about who they are, what they do, what they're into, and we'll start with you, Jason, because you look so uncomfortable doing.
No, wait! Don't start with me. Let me go get a record, and then.
Okay, we'll start with Thor, since he is in the driver's seat now. Thor, tell us a little bit about you.
I'm from Germany. I know Patrick since a long time. I owe him a lot to his knowledge of the pressings. I learned so much, and he invited me to be in this roundtable. My genre is metal or hard rock, and I'm open for everything, but I'm more focused on the metal genre, and I love metal. So I'm here maybe for that part, you can say, to focus on those questions or those presentations.
Lower left, that is Tim, University of Vinyl. So actually, we'll go to Tim next. Tim, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. I'm in Colorado. I've been doing YouTube videos for about 2 years now. I'm a child of the 70s. I was 18 in 1984, so I kind of skew classic rock 70s, 80s into the 90s. Used to have a vinyl collection. My parents sold it in a garage sale when I was at college. And been back into vinyl for about 10 years. And I'm all about just, I love music, and I have, my various tastes as far as bands are concerned, but I try to find the best sounding things. I tend to skew towards trying to find original or early pressings, but I'm not adverse to trying reissues and giving those a chance for sure.
Very good. George, you're up next.
Hi, I'm George. I'm I think a little bit older than Tim. I was 18 and I don't know, maybe in 1986 or something. So I work in the recording industry as an engineer and a record producer and all that kind of stuff. And I also, for the past 27 years, I've also been teaching at various art colleges in the Bay Area where we have recording facilities where we teach students how to make records, as well as, other things, film and stuff like that. I was the director of education at a Bay Area school here up until the beginning of the year. And now I'm sort of just enjoying time off and getting more into talking with you folks. And I just want to say real quickly, luckily for me, when I started running around in my early 20s, my parents kept my records and under the house. So when I stopped running around and finally settled down and had a house and I could put it all back up, it was there for me. So I didn't have to start over completely.
All right, John, Flipside Bandy.
Yes. So I'm kind of the opposite of Patrick. My name's John. I'm a Californian transplanted to Texas. So there you go with that. I have a musical background. I played in some bands, not anything famous, but I was in college. I have a music degree, but I got into the medical field. So I did that for 35 years. Now I'm just a retired guy that just loves records. I'm into all kind of genres. It doesn't matter what, but the specific sound quality thing, I've probably been into that for the last 25 years, maybe. So,
for the record, you're not Bandy the rodeo clown, right?
No, that's my cousin Mo.
So Mo is your cousin, though, right?
Mo is my cousin.
There you go, Mo Bandy, people.
Yep.
And last but certainly not least, Jason Rojas, who's never far from having a record in his hand. So yes, the man, the myth, the legend, from a man who spawned his own genre, people. Wow. The guy spawned a genre of music known as shitgaze. So there it is. Your band, psychedelic horse shit. I'm not kidding. That's what it's called. Right, Jason?
That is correct.
And that is your band there.
Cool cover.
Was this is a compilation of our EPs.
Was that on Analog Productions?
Yeah.
Right. Clear vinyl.
What's the sound quality on that, Jason? You guys were notoriously lo-fi, right? That was your thing, right?
Yes, dubious. This is a dubious sounding record.
So, are you saying this is their worst sounding record? Are you saying that that's the worst sound? That's almost a compliment, isn't there?
Oh, that's my friend.
I'm assuming it was your friend. There was actually mastering for that. I thought mastering was for the weak at that point in your life.
Oh boy.
Okay, so now that we have the introductions out of the way, you guys know who I am. I've been on here enough. I don't need to talk about myself. I don't like talking about myself. So yeah. Anyway, Elliot Cruz loves Mo Bandy. Who doesn't love Mo Bandy? Mo and Joe Stampley, Mo Bandy. I actually ran across a Bandy the Rodeo Clown album like the other day when I was out looking around. Probably the only decent record at a Goodwill I went to. But
Elliot's a country boy.
Yeah. So we have the first question. It says, "What's the best pressing of David Bowie's Low?" This is a good question because this is an artist that for me is all over the map as far as quality, especially his earlier popular stuff. Like Low and Aladdin Sane and that kind of stuff. I mean, I get people say, get the green label, the international RCAs, the Dynaflexes are fine. Get the UKs, get the 7E, 4E, you know, for Ziggy Stardust. So George has a copy of Low. What is your take on this, George? So,
you know, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit late to the period that kind of comes after Ziggy Stardust, right? So I take it this is part of that. Is this the Eno 3 trilogy thing?
Yeah,
and so
Berlin
I've
thing,
just been dipping my toe into that. I got Lodger. I think Lodger's one of them, right? And
Yes.
Low. And this is just one of those redone ones. And it sounds perfectly fine to me. But then again, I don't have an OG to compare it to. But I just was trying to just give the visual of the cover while you were talking about it. But this sounds fine to me. I think it's orange.
I had
Go
the
ahead, Sor.
I had the original UK, and I had the original German, and I prefer the original UK by far.
Tim, did you have a copy of it too, as well?
I've got an early U.S. pressing. It was cut at Sterling. So I guess my question would be, you know, if this was originally mastered at Sterling in New York City, does this throw the artist of, you know, the country of origin?
Country of origin? That's a good question. You know, it's probably cut by George Marino.
I don't think it's super sounding. I do have if you have a clean copy, it helps, but it's an interesting experimental record. Not my favorite Bowie, but a lot of people love it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
it's not an audiophile recording per se in itself. No. That is my humble opinion.
But I mean, it doesn't have to be audio. I mean, there's got to be. I mean, there's so many different pressings. Like I said, I hear people talk about the green label RCAs that were cut international. They're even cut like have INT and the dead wax for international. Then there's there's the orange label, there's the RCA, there's the Dynaflex. And I'm not anti-Dynaflex personally. I don't have a problem with Dynaflex. I've got some great sounding Dynaflex albums by the Guess Who, Lou Reed,
John Denver, Harry Nilsson.
I think with an original.
Nilsson, Schmilson. Yeah, that sounds great.
I would go with
the
UK RCA.
Well, I mean, I have a recording. I think I have a recording of the UK RCA. Do you have a UK RCA, John Bandy?
Yes, I do. I don't have it handy, but the German not German, but the international with the green label, all those sound really, really nice. And the good thing about those is you can still get those, I believe, still for a good price. They're a little smoother presentation, but I don't think it loses too much detail or anything. So I would still go with the UK RCA, but in a pinch, I would probably go with the international.
Yeah.
Quieter vinyl too.
So there's another person who didn't really like the German, like Thor says, so yeah, I know you did, John, and I have it recorded, but I don't have anything to compare it to. So I think that's the only copy of Low that I've ever had was yours. So I don't have anything to compare it to. So I know it sounded probably as good as it can get, but I don't have a comparison. And like I said, I hear people talk about these green labels a lot, and I know some of the US stuff. So it's kind of like Queen, like Queen, like the UK of like, what is it? A Night at the Opera, or no, A Day at the Races was cut at Sterling. The UK first pressing is a Sterling, I do believe. And the US is a Sterling, and so they pretty much sound the same. So, I mean, if you get a Sterling cut from the UK, is it worth it to get that UK cut, or is it just get the US cut? Is the vinyl that much better in the UK in that time period? Because it's the same cut, it's the same lacquer, isn't it?
I heard not much difference between the UK original and the German original. Really not that much, because it's not there. So I think it would be fine to get an original German or original UK. Both sound pretty decent.
Okay, but those, if you guys have questions like that, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I like to get into, because I mean, like I said, Bowie's one of those things. It's like, there's lots of different versions, and there's even a few of the like from Hunky Dory, I think they had the EMI 100 series, and that was all analog, and that sounded really good too. So there's a couple of those.
EMI just smokes.
They've got that. In case you didn't know, I mean, I think it was 1997 or somewhere around there. They had the 100th anniversary. I mean, of EMI, and they did, I think, like 50 or so albums. Some of them were cut all analog, some of them were not. I think the Dark Side of the Moon wasn't all analog, but the Hunky Dory that they did, and you can still get it for probably like $40-50. Not after today, probably, but and it sounds really good. I think I still
the
have
Hunky
it.
Dory.
Yeah.
Oh, if I could find it for $40 or $50, I'd love that. That record's expensive now. It's
I can find you one, John. I can find you a nice original German one between 50 and 80.
My
easily.
question I have now is that we're all talking about these older ones. Now, these new redo ones, are they all just total crap, or has anybody compared them? Because I have like an old school Ziggy and a new one, and they weren't that far apart. I was thinking, Patrick, maybe I'd send you this repress and you could compare it to that UK original of Low,
what?
just to see
Oh,
the
okay.
new Bowie represses.
I think I have several of these reissues, and I like them. I like them very much. John Ledlaw, who is in the Peanut Gallery, he sent me those, and I sent it to Patrick the Sticky Stardust 7E 4E version, and that is for me personally. I heard the reissue, a German pressing, and the 7.4E of the Sticky Stardust, and the Sticky Stardust 7.4E. 7E 4E blows all what I heard away. So this would be my recommendation for Sticky Stardust.
If we're talking about prices, if you want a good deal, I think you may get my dates right here. There was a 40th anniversary. Is that right, Tim? Wasn't there a 40th anniversary of Ziggy?
I think so.
That sounds very good. I forget who mastered it, but then they repressed it, I believe, later. Those are both, they're AAA.
Yeah,
they repressed it later. So if you can find that,
I just picked this up, and it's a Dynaflex reissue from like 1974, a repressing on Dynaflex. I was shocked. I thought it sounded great.
Yeah,
those Dynaflexes don't sound bad at all.
They sound.
The thing to listen to for that Hunky Dory to me is the piano and the guitar. Does it have that natural sound?
Yeah.
And is it in the room?
The piano and the what? The piano and the what, John?
The piano and the guitar to me.
And the guitar and the guitar and the guitar. Okay.
That's how Melinda Murphy. That's how Melinda Murphy says it too. But the reason I just wanted to bring that part up is because when we get into, a lot of us have been collecting these records for a long time, and it gets harder and harder to find those originals. And if there are good represses, are decent enough to where you can listen to it and not feel like you're missing out, I think it's good for people to also know that, they can go down to their local record store and still find, a new copy that is decent. That's something that I think is always good to point out as well when they're good.
That Ziggy, that's definitely one that I would look for that Fidelius is mentioning. Either it's in the box, it's also in the
is that the original and the repress?
40th and the repeat.
This is like the 91 repress. Oh man.
Okay.
I put this right. Oh geez. There we go. And then this is the original 75.
Great album.
Which one sounds better?
Of course the OG sounds better, but I had to get this because of the bonus tracks that are on the box set now. Let me see if I can do this better.
Hold on, let me make you big here. There, see? Oh, it contains rare and preview. Oh, that's the Sound Vision one. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. I had someone gave me the whole set of those. And,
really?
Yeah.
But
I sold them.
I think like the box set has those bonus tracks,
Yeah, Ken Scott I think did that stuff. So Ken Scott did the Ziggy 40th, but his recuts, because I think he recut, what is that Crime of the Century box that came out, or was that Ray Staff? I think it was Ray Staff. Not Ken. I don't want to get them confused here, but whoever cut that Crime of the Century box that came out a few years ago did not do a good job. So just saying.
This is a good sounding Bowie record, and these are both Indianapolis Alan Zentz pressings, and I was shocked. One was kind of totally veiled, and I don't know if there's intergroove distortion, but one is just fantastic. So it just kind of goes to show you. I don't know if we want to go down the hot stamper rabbit hole today, but
hey Tim, is that's the one record we can count on, kind of, that's the U.S. pressing is better than the UK sound.
Yeah. Really?
Right?
Really?
I believe so. Right?
Wow.
I think so.
the UK
There's a
pressing sounds
20-page thread about this, and most people
Yeah.
are talking about the Allen Zentz Indianapolis tan label pressing. So, yeah.
But the UK pressing of Station to Station sounds fantastic, man.
Well, I think at that later point, wasn't Bowie just living basically in LA and basically was living here and making his records here and pressing the masters here,
Yeah,
cutting
he
them,
was living in LA and he was in a cocaine fog for about 2 years.
Well, that would be an interesting thing to look into. What crosses over the same stampers, the UK and the US, as far as Bowie stuff? Sounds like Bowie stuff is like that, right? We got a lot of cross.
So it looks like there's quite a bit of these box sets that has all analog mastering. This is interesting. I wasn't aware of this stuff. So I'm not a huge Bowie guy, and so it's not something that I'm real into. But it's interesting, that there's a lot of all analog stuff in these box sets. So somebody wanted to know about what's the best pressing of Scary Monsters. So
I think it's the UK OG of Scary Monsters.
Yeah, I've had the UK as well, and so I think a lot of people are going to say the UK for most of especially up through Let's Dance at least.
But I mean, they used the better photo. I mean,
yeah.
Let's look at this. What's wrong here?
John Ledlow is well versed. He knows his Bowie.
Yeah, he's good at Bowie. So somebody asked about David Crosby, and this is one of my favorite records. But it says, "What's your favorite pressing of David Crosby's?" If I could remember my name. So this one is probably going to have different answers for everybody. But for me, I really like I love the new Mo-Fi that they did. I thought that one sounded really, really good. And this is one of my favorite records. I remember I've told the story before, but I mean, when I was buying my first real audiophile turntable, I was in the Bay Area at a music store in Berkeley, and their demo room, they were playing the classic 45 RPM of this album, and I'd never heard this record. And I remember walking up going, "What is this album?" And he's like, "Oh, it's this." And I fell in love with the album immediately. And so I have the classic 45 RPM, which used to be my favorite, but now I kind of realize that it's a little bit of has that classic sound from back then, which I'm not a huge fan of. But my favorite right now is probably the Mo-Fi. So personally,
it's just a well-recorded album, right?
Yeah.
I've got the OG, I think, from you. I like it.
Yeah, the OG. I mean, the Monarch that was pressed. The Monarch, it sounds great. The classic sounds great. The UK Plum sounds a little bassy, but it still sounds pretty good too. So, and there's also a German pressing that was cut with the US plates that has really nice vinyl for that time period. Because Germany, quite a few of the Atlantic titles, they sent US plates over, and you can actually get, like, I've got some Nemper stuff by Tommy Bolin, Stanley Clark, that were cut in Germany, but used the original plates from the US that sound phenomenal, because the vinyl, I guess, was a little bit better, or especially the ones that were cut at 320, at the 320 plant in Hamburg. I guess that's where the 320 plant in Germany is. But anyway, so anybody else have a different, if I could only remember my name, favorite or pressing that they are into, or we all agree that the Mo-Fi sounds really good, which could segue to our next. We can also segue to our next topic. So we have a topic today. Topic today is a good Mo-Fi and a bad Mo-Fi. So I have purged, I think, all of what I think is most of my bad Mo-Fis. So I don't really have one. I could name you 1,000 that I don't like. But like for me, the last bad Mo-Fi I had was the Cars self-titled. That, to me, that was a bad Mo-Fi. But I'm gonna start with Jason. This is your
good or bad George on the band.
What?
All right, so hang on.
Good or bad on the band?
We're going in order, people. So
okay.
So you have. Are you saying that's a bad Mo-Fi, Jason?
This is bad. This is bad.
Really? Is it bad, or is it just not as good as the UK Fly?
This is the UK Fly.
I know. So I get that, but do you really think that is the Mo-Fi that bad, or is it just worse than the UK Fly?
It's just worse because there's, like, I believe George Peckham, he cut this, right?
Yeah, he cut that one. Yeah, he did that one.
There's a way that he cut it so that the sibilance, like, issues, like, don't bother you, right?
Yeah.
But here, while looking for clarity, like, the S's and the P's, like, when Mark Bolan is singing, you can hear it, and it's just like, what the hell's going on, you know? And this is why this thing is affordable. Like, I think this is only going for like 40, 60 bucks, you know?
Because I didn't think that sounded that bad. I didn't compare it to my UK Fly, but when I heard it, I didn't think it was sounded that horrible. But maybe I need to revisit. But I mean, I didn't think it was. I mean, to me, there was way more egregious offenders on MoFi than the Electric Warrior. Just personally, my opinion. So,
I see this on your next challenge, right?
Okay, that could happen. All right, Thor. Do you have any MoFis you don't like?
I
You're not a big
only
MoFi guy.
I only had two I only have one. I had two MoFis. That was Pixies Bossa Nova and Pixies Doolittle. And now that I have the original of the Pixies Doolittle, original UK pressing, I would say definitely the MoFi sounds pretty nice and polished, but I much prefer the UK Doolittle over the MoFi. So that would be my only MoFis, because I am not into this MoFi thing.
Okay.
Never was. Sorry.
All right, you're fired. All right, so
Yeah.
So here's my good this is probably one of the only 80s era MoFis that I really like, and this is Genesis, A Trick of the Tail, and
Good one.
This is pretty much the definitive version of Trick of the Tail. The UK doesn't sound good. The Japanese has tape dropouts. The US sounds like shit to me, but this is actually the best version of Trick of the Tail that I think they're going to find.
It's still reasonably priced too, right, Patrick?
Yeah, I picked this up at a record store yesterday for $40. I'm going to I have a copy of it. I'll probably keep the better one.
It's that expensive on Discogs and eBay and stuff, even online.
It's like $80 on Discogs.
Oh, is it?
Jason, I think I have Jason was saying, I think I have an original Electric Warrior from T-Rex, US pressing.
You know, I don't care. I don't care, Marvin, if there's a digital step or not. I mean, that doesn't bother me. You know, I just care what it sounds like in the end run. You know, I mean, I've got, you know, albums that have the digital step. You know, I mean, hell, Donald Fagen, The Nightfly is a digital album. You know, I mean, so I don't care. You know, as long as it sounds good, I don't care. You know, but don't lie to me and tell me it's all analog when it's not. You know, I mean, I just think so. All right, Tim, do you have a crappy MoFi and a good MoFi?
So I've got two good MoFis that I like. One from the original run. I think their American Beauty is quite good. I know Mike Esposito ranked this one pretty high in, you know, one of his shootouts.
I like it.
A lot of air, real natural, real organic sounding. And then this is maybe a cheat. I think this is the only vinyl pressing that ever was for this record, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a really, really nice sounding recording. Natalie Merchant.
So apparently Tim's Wi-Fi is in the 80s too. So okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're still seeing American Beauty on the screen.
Yeah, we're still seeing American Beauty. Yeah.
Okay. Let me look at this.
He really loves American Beauty.
I know. Look at that passion. All right, George, you're up.
Okay, so one thing I will say is that when a lot of people shoot out a MoFi record, if you try to do the thing where you keep all the settings the same and you put on the first record and you put on the next record and you kind of compare them. One of the things about the MoFis is that regardless of the digital analog, forget about all that part, they oftentimes take off compression that was maybe on the stereo bus going to the lathe. And in some cases, what it'll do is it will lower your average volume and it will open up the sound field a little bit. And if you just notch up your amplifier and let it do the work, turn up the amp and get a little bit more volume, you'll get a big sound stage. Compression tends to take the sound stage away. So with that being said, I'll work
level
backwards.
matching is everything.
Yes, I'll work backwards. This is a good one for me. And the reason why is because the original pressing of this record, I have two of them over there, Capital green label, you know, the record was very compressed and very small and very tight, and it worked well, I guess, at the time to come through an AM radio. In this situation, this one has a lot more open soundstage, a lot more depth to it. This record is not by any means an audiophile record. It's the third band record called Stage Fright. I like it. The one I don't like, I have an actual purple Capital repress of the band's self-titled second album. This one doesn't work for me as much. I have an OG that just blows this one out of the water in every possible way.
Robert
and then-
Ludwig.
What the original? I believe.
Yeah, RL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest. Yeah.
And then this one I really like. And the reason I really like this one again is because of that quiet vinyl. It's hard to get a good copy. This record opens very slow, brooding, a song called Tears of Rage with Richard Manuel playing this sort of like kind of really light piano ballad with a lot of space in it. And if you don't have a really good pressing, it's going to bother you because there's going to be all that surface noise. One of the things I do always appreciate about a MoFi, when they get it right and they don't mess with the EQ too much, you get a nice quiet soundstage and you can really just focus on the music and listen to, what's there. And this one pays off that way. So I would say this is good. This one, not as good. And this one better. And that's just for the band.
That band title, George, if you'll also the 100 EMI series is very good also.
It also is this box set of the band. These sound phenomenal. These are really good.
Patrick,
I don't remember. I think different people mastered this. Even it's like Ian, what's his name over at Capitol mastered some, and I think Chris Bellman mastered some. But I haven't listened to the whole box set yet, but I mean, I've listened to like the first 3, and these sound really good, and it's very inexpensive too.
George, I wanted to say something about the music from Big Pink. A suggestion for you. Have you heard the UK 69 repress?
No, I have not.
That is my favorite. I wrote some notes here just real quickly. To me, of all those, I've got the MoFi, I've got the old MoFi Silver CD, which is basically a flat transfer, which sounds really good.
Yeah.
I've got both the 2 MoFis, and I've got a US original. I won't comment on all the other ones, but as far as the UK, I found it to be the best warmth, high end clarity, and the mids smoke. Has a really nice tube sound, which kind of takes that edge off that lo-fi music from Big Pink sound.
Yeah.
So you might check that out. They're not that expensive. I don't believe the 69 UKs.
Yeah, I will look into that. I believe that's a 4-track recording too. So I think there was a lot of sub mixes and things like that done, and you get many generations away. I lost. I was going to say something that I thought was going to be really brilliant, and I messed it up. No, it's all right.
Well, now we're going to talk to somebody who's not brilliant. Well, actually is brilliant. But John Bandy, MoFi, bad or good MoFi?
Don't forget this T-shirt. Okay?
Yeah, I love that. Captain Beefheart's my favorite. You did
Captain Beefheart all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as the one that I picked, there's 2 reasons why I think the MoFi is bad. This was the one that I picked here, the the Rascals.
That's bad. I think
is bad. I like that. I like it. It's a fun little album. It's got a couple of really good songs on it. One of the better albums from the 60s. MoFi did. There's 2 reasons I don't like the MoFi. MoFi did it in mono, which that's not the best mix. I think Mazzy mentioned that. The other reason it's the fidelity on it is just not that great either. So I would go for the old stereo copy of this. They're still reasonable. You can get those for like $18. They're not bad. So it's a mix thing on the MoFi with that one. So that was my bad and good.
So which UHQRs? So I don't think MoFi did UHQRs. They did 1-steps.
They did a Sgt. Pepper.
You mean like the original ones, like the Alan
Dark
Parsons
Side, I think.
They did Dark Side of the Moon. They did Crime of the Century. They did iRobot, I think.
I heard all those were really good, but I don't know.
I've had. Let me see if I have. Hold on. How many have I had?
And the thing that I forgot that I just remembered was that lately they've been doing these band records where they're doing the anniversaries and they do these big, like a box set for each record, and they're remixing it, and it's driving me crazy. They did a 45 RPM, and I can't take the remixes. I'm sorry.
So they did T for the Tillerman is in the old school UHQR. I've had that one. They did Sgt. Pepper. I've had that one. They did Crime of the Century. And I think they did iRobot as well, and a couple more in the UHQR. I think it was and Steely, maybe no, I don't think Asia, but yeah, I know those were done, and I've had those, and they're not great. I mean, but they're not bad either. So they're kind of iRobot, yeah. I haven't had the iRobot, but that's actually the one that's more affordable. That's probably like in the $300 range, as opposed to like Sergeant Pepper and Dark Side of the Moon are going to be in the $1,000 range. They had really, and you think about the boxes. You think the UHQR boxes from Chad are obnoxious? These the UHQR MoFis were even more obnoxious. So. Well, looking at the questions here. Oh, someone loves beef heart. Oh, it's Marvin. No wonder. Okay. Yeah.
Go Marvin.
Yeah. Looking at getting a turntable. Oh, somebody asked a question about it was someone asked this question. So what do you think is the minimum threshold for a system that can give you a real idea of sound recording differences? Doc in BC, I guess that's British Columbia. So for me, it's all about synergy. What equipment you have and how it works together. It's not about a price point. It's like finding something that works well together in your environment and what the kind of music you listen to.
Somebody's asking about that Jefferson Airplane Surrealistic pillow. That's the Texas pronunciation. The low fidelity mono 45 RPM, if it's good. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, to find an original, I'm sure you could find something that's has that 60s sound to it. But man, that MoFi mono Jefferson Airplane really, really smokes.
I think what Patrick said on the system, I think it's a very interesting point. The synergy is also, for me, the most important point. And Patrick, when we talked about in the morning about the cartridges and the phono preamp and the loading stuff. So for me, it is very important that you have a cartridge that responds nicely to your preamp and to your amp. So if this is not working perfectly, you can spend $50,000-$60,000 on the system. And if it's not working, I think a balance is needed. It's not a price tag question, but you have to look if the cartridge is fitting the capacitance or the impedance. So this should be figured out. This is much more important than the money question. So if you have a nice, decent cartridge moving coil or moving magnet, we prefer, Patrick also prefers the micro line, someone else prefers the other one. So these are the details, is in the, the synergy, the balance of all ingredients is much more important. The cables are important, low, what is it called, Patrick? Low
capacitance.
Yeah,
it depends on what you're.
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing when people always ask me, what cartridge should I get? They want an inexpensive cartridge. So, well, if you want to get a nice tracking one, get a micro line like the Audio Technica. But if you get one, you got to make sure that your phono preamp and your total capacitance is under 200 PF.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you'll get people. When people say that Audio Technica moving magnet cartridges are bright, it's because they have too much capacitance.
What music? The question is in the what importance is what music are you want to listen to? Do you want to listen to jazz? Do you want to listen to rock? Do you want to listen to? These questions you cannot answer on the spot like that. It depends on many factors in my opinion.
But at the end of the day, you want something that tracks well, though. You don't want to get to the end of a record and have it sound like crap because you don't have a good tracking stylus profile.
So Patrick, that would be my question, and I think you just answered it. Why do you prefer a micro line?
Because it tracks better. Nothing tracks better. It doesn't. There's really no argument to that. Is that it's the best tracking profile. It's the most modern profile.
If it tracks better, you're going to get more out of the grooves, right?
Yes, and it'll also get deeper in the grooves where possibly an older card. Like I've seen beat to shit like Rolling Stone, Beatles albums, that look like they're beat to crap. But if I use like a different profile that gets deeper than the elliptical or conical stylus they were using back in the day, there's clean vinyl down below that I can actually get to that's really never been played. Mm-hmm. So,
and I think another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that so you get past the part, you've got the cartridge, very important. You've got the vinyl, you've got the pre. When you get to an amplifier, for me, I usually tend to go with lower wattage systems for my room because it allows me to open the amp up a little further. I don't want to have a 200 watt amplifier that I have turned all the way down to almost 1 all the time, because that volume knob that we have there is basically, it's putting resistance against the current as well. It's like a light dimmer, right? When you have the thing wide open, you're using less energy because it's just letting it flow through. Whereas when you're when you're pushing down against it, it creates another form of problem for me. At least I want the amplifier to do a lot of the work. Once the album is being tracked and it is going through the preamp, I want an amplifier to be a wide open thing as much as possible to let the amplifier create the soundstage for me through the speakers. And a lot of the times I see people with these big knobs and they're turned way, way down, and it's really not doing a service for, that's another thing to contemplate as well at the end of the chain.
Very good point. Very good point.
So Jason, are those the new Tough Gongs, or is that the ones that I don't? Are those original Tough Gongs? What are those?
This is the Tough Gong Jamaican pressing here, being lit up by the.
Is that a reissue? Is that the original? Is that the original?
No. This is like I think this was like a 2016 Japanese reissue with the.
Okay,
Jamaican.
so those aren't the ones that were pressed on the new presses in
This
Jamaica.
one was. No, this one was. This one. Most people are complaining because they're kind of warped.
Because I bought all the new ones. I bought all the ones that's coming out, so I have them coming. But we could also talk about Exodus, but we won't go down that road.
If you want to warp it, I could help you.
Oh, let's go.
Esposito said that every single one of those Tough Gongs he got was bad.
Wow.
Earlier today, he said every single one.
You mean like the defects and things?
Yeah, it was warped, or the cover was tweaked, or something. They're like
they shipped.
I bought a whole set, so I'm looking forward to this now.
They shipped my UHQR in basically an empty box, so that shows me probably what their QC is like.
This is the QC you need, right? Just light this up.
Thank you, Dean. That's nice.
Hey, Patrick, have you ever had an Ortofon 2M bronze?
I have. I've had two Ortofons in my life. I've had the A90, which was a very expensive cartridge, and I got rid of that pretty quickly. And I had the Quintet Black, which was an interesting cartridge, but to me it had like a really narrow soundstage. Those are the only two Ortofons that I think I've ever had. I have to go think in my head. I've never had the 2M series, but people like them a lot. And the black with the Shibata profile, people like a lot. They say it's hard to align.
Oh, there it is. There's yours. Okay.
This is the black.
Yeah. And I like those because like the Audio Technicas, you can upgrade your stylus profile and you don't need to change the cartridge body,
Right.
It's a Nagoya 200.
I think what is it? Is it the bronze that's quote unquote supposedly the sweet spot in the Ortofon color series? I think the bronze is ones people talk a lot about and say
That's
that
what
was
I've
kind
heard.
of
I've heard the black is a little
punches
too
above its weight.
Yeah.
The black for me was too clinical. I was always thinking about the cartridge, and so that and it sounded, when you had a great piece of vinyl on there, it sounded great. When you had a horrible piece of vinyl on there, it just told you how horrible it was. Very clinical, and it was not enjoyable because I was always thinking about it. For me.
Okay, cool.
So it's interesting that you mentioned Trouble, Loki Tio, because that's actually the first record. In 1987, I think it was, when Whitesnake got picked up by Geffen, they actually remastered that record. It's the first time I think I've ever seen the word remaster. In 1987, they actually said remastered by Greg Fulmaghetti, whatever that guy's name is. I can't remember pronounce his last name. But in 1987, when Geffen picked up that catalog, they remastered that Whitesnake Trouble album, and it sounded, to give it a kind of like how they did with Slide It In, kind of like gave it a more modern, slick presentation, more instead of the bluesy thing. But yeah, that's the first time I ever saw the word remaster on an album. Lavelle says, "How are the black carts?"
Again, I thought clinical. That's the best word I could say for it. It's a lot of people talk about the synergy of a Nagoya 110 and a Shit Manny, right? They do work really well together. It's another one of those things where it's like, it's a lower cost setup. If you're just getting started and you want to kind of get affordable stuff, I think that's a really good way to go. And then I went up to the 200 and I didn't like it as much as I liked but now I'm off both of those and I got other stuff going. The black cartridge to me was just, I was always aware of it being there. And I don't know how to describe it other than that. I was always looking over at it. Like, what are you doing?
I've got a Nagoya 110, and it's getting up there as far as mileage is concerned. So I'm just, I'm just looking around for an upgrade, and I don't know, taking opinions.
Yeah, and again, it's the table too. The arm, and that's the other thing a lot of people don't take into: high mass, low mass arms, and the cartridges that go with them.
Yep.
I have a linear arm, so I have no mass, so I'm good. Jason, so you say the Tough Gongs won't beat the UHQRs, but how about the Abbey Road half speed? Will that beat the UHQR?
I don't have those. Like, I tried to get them, but then
I could point you to a stream where you can compare those, and then you can actually, let me know what you think.
I got one on the way.
That broke my heart. He broke my heart, but
you broke your own heart. You broke your own heart by your own words. So
yeah, I've got one coming. I've got the half speed coming.
Me too.
I have one. It's good. It's very, very good.
I do not master recordings. I'm not Alex Dickey. I leave the mastering to professionals. So
Alex Dickey.
I am not a mastering engineer. So.
Make sure you use 85 CDs though for your source.
All right, so there's other questions here. So let's see. We already touched on the Bob Marley reissues. Somebody wanted to talk about if you could talk about why the RIAA curve was originally created and still used today. In a brief sentence, I'll let George do this. So just quickly, give us the layman terms. So yes.
When you're cutting a lacquer, and you're talking about literally dragging a cutting head through a piece of nitrocellulose lacquer, and it's cutting and it's heated and it's wiggling and it's reacting to the frequencies. There are problems that occur mechanically with particular frequencies. Number one, bass content creates a wide throw of a waveform that stays outside the zero line longer and comes back the other way longer. And when you're going concentrically, you have to make space for the inside cut that's coming around again. So what an RI and also sibilant frequencies, right? So there's all kinds of things that are exacerbated by dragging a piece of diamond through a piece of plastic. And so what the RIAA curve does is it puts a frequency sort of attenuation on particular frequencies when you're cutting. And so you are able to cut essentially less bottom end content onto the record itself. And that's why you have a phono preamp. And that's why when you look at those older amplifiers, they always had they had aux ins or aux outs or aux ins, and then you had a phono in with the ground separated. You don't have to have a separate ground for a turntable. They did that so you had to use the phono ins, and that's because there's an inverse RIAA curve on the preamp of a phono preamp. So not only is it upping the voltage, it is also applying that opposite frequency curve. So it's almost like a Dolby noise reduction in a way. You take away something at the moment of encoding, and then you put it back when you play back. And so the music comes back, but hopefully the byproducts of the process don't come back. That's the idea. You're hiding it. So in brief, an RIAA curve is cutting off certain frequencies on the way to the cut. And then when you play the record back, the preamp adds back that curve in inverse to bring back the frequencies, but not the problems.
The CBS half speeds are a good example of how to screw up that. Yeah. So that's the reason why those sound so bad.
And we won't get into it, but there's also like the Deca curve and all that shit from like below. And so here's an interesting one again. So just to put this to rest, the Mono Doors debut album sounds like it was mastered for AM radio, the dominant broadcast form of the time. A new modern master needs to be made from the studio tapes. I would agree that the original Mono Doors, and I had a brand new one. I had a sealed copy, and I had a never played copy that was autographed, and I just recorded it. And it's not a good mix. It's not a good sound. It's not a good sounding. That's why I didn't even try. I wasn't even sweating the ERC because I knew it wasn't going to sound. It's not a good sounding recording. So I would agree with you, Michael. If anybody else on this panel has a different opinion on that, then I would love to hear it. But I would love to hear somebody defend the sound of the Doors and Doors' first album, Mono. feel free.
I'll come back.
it was doomed from the start. But basically, when you have the people that actually produced it saying it wasn't the best in the first place, I don't understand why you would want to make an accurate cut of a tape that the makers already said had issues.
Strange Days sounded great. Strange Days was. So are you saying the Vinyl Me Please one sounds way better than which one do you have on the? Is that the
Just
OG?
causing drama. Just causing drama.
Is that the OG mono on?
Yeah, you want to see how much I paid for it? This is going to be disgusting. Are you ready?
Yep.
Oh, can't
Wrong
get
way.
there. Can't
Other
do
side.
it.
It's like $6.99, $3.99, $4.99.
Oh my gosh! How
Not
terrible!
focused.
Here we go.
Is it $9.99?
$9.99.
That price came from an Apple. You're
Got ripped off.
Mine was free and autographed, so there.
What?
Yeah.
We're saying Bernie can't cut. He can't cut.
Now, I've actually heard that's actually pretty good. I've heard that's actually well done. That Vinyl Me Please is well done. So,
I like it.
yeah.
What do you think, Jason? Do you like the Vinyl Me Please?
No,
I like it very much.
no. Actually,
Jason's
this
so
is
critical.
better. My $10.
Why do you like it better?
I think because this is fresh, right? This is a Monarch. It's fresh from when it was cut.
Jim's vocals.
Right. This is okay. Like this isn't bad,
Maybe later.
This
So-
is affordable. I
Yeah.
think like this is no longer affordable. Like,
So
this
do
is-
you really think the ARC doors sounds incredible, JBL? Flat cut or flat out? I mean, most people. I've always heard most people don't want a flat cut of a master tape. I mean, that's why they have mastering, because the flat cut doesn't sound good for whatever medium you're doing it for. But you really like the ERC, the sound of the ERC. I've heard some of it, and it doesn't sound any better to me. That's my personal opinion.
The Vinyl Me Please, that's a good example, Jason. Like, I don't have an original Doors mono. So that's a good example, I think, of if I've never heard better, then I don't know better.
And that's true with a lot of
I
things.
like the Vinyl Me Please very much, John. I
Yeah.
have it here.
Yeah.
I like it. I cannot say anything different. I like
Sounds
it on
pretty
my
balanced,
system.
but
Yeah, very
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, if I had the Queen box set, if that's all I had, I never heard any other Queen albums, I'd say, oh, this sounds great, But
Maybe.
as soon as I put on another album by Queen and another pressing, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't sound that great.
and as much as I try, I can't have everything.
That's the only box
Yeah.
that's the only box that I regret actually getting. Is that Queen one? And I
heard a rip of one, Michael. So,
the Queen box that sounded
done
so
by
weird.
done by a very nice vinyl ripper, by the way. Someone who's very, very, very competent. But yeah. And
Someone had a-
like I said, I had the original. Go ahead.
someone said something about a step-up transformer. I believe what you're talking about there is just actually adding voltage to your moving coil before it gets to the preamp. Correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick.
I've had a step up transformer, and some of them can be very pricey and can definitely change the sound. I think it's the windings, whether it's like 10-to-1, 20-to-1. I'm not an electrical guy, so
Yeah, I believe you use it when the output of your cartridge isn't enough for your preamp, and your preamp doesn't have enough gain, so you kind of have this intermediate. It's like these Shure SM7s. They have a thing called a cloud lifter that will add 20 decibels of gain to them before they even get to the preamp, because they're known to be low output microphones.
yeah. So I both of them were very low voltage moving coil cartridges, and I had to have them because they weren't enough to drive my preamp. Even though I had a moving coil preamp, one of them was like 0.12 millivolts of output, which is very, very low. I think that was the Art 9, Art 7 that has that. So you need the step up transformer to actually, like you said, do that. So anyway. So who wants to show a record, since we're getting at about the hour mark, and I can see like Jason and Thor like twitching to show a record. So it's like
Oh, I've
So
got
y'all
one
want-
for Jason.
I'm fine,
I've got one
man.
for
I'm
Jason.
fine. Perfect. I'm good.
So why don't we each show something we found recently that we think sounds phenomenal or doesn't sound phenomenal, or whatever you want to show. So something, impart some knowledge to everybody about something that you found recently or not so recently that you think sounds phenomenal or doesn't sound phenomenal.
I'll go last.
Okay, you can go last, Jason, because we know. Well, Thor, do you want to go first, or do I will go first since I've.
Yeah,
since
you
I've
go
put other
first.
people
I
on the
go
spot.
second.
So I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to be a dick, and I'm
Yeah, that's awesome. Show them.
Not you, Patrick.
So there we go. So I got the
You're such a
AC/DC box set. These are all the Albert pressings, including the Highway to Hell. I'll make myself big for these. These deserve to be shown in all their glory.
Yes.
So
Please.
Are those all
there's
pink labels?
yeah, they're all kind of
I
red.
mean, red.
Here's Powerage. These are all Albert Productions, Australian.
Is the box plastic, Patrick?
No, the box is actually. I'll take the box out once.
Okay.
And so
Man, this is beautiful. Beautiful.
there's
love that cover.
there's that cover. I don't know why they didn't release this cover everywhere. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
So rock and roll.
Awesome.
All right,
man.
so where did I put the box?
So it's not. Is it
Here it is.
a New Zealand pressing or what?
Australian.
It's all Australian. So this thing is actually hard. It's got like plastic.
So is this the first
Fantastic,
Australian, or
man.
was it a reissue, or do you know?
These were all recut. Every one of them was recut because I still have my original high voltage, and I compared that. This is stamped, and these are all etched.
I need to get the details on. I'll email you.
I think these were cut by Don Bartlett, who actually made the maxi cut Neumann lathe for EMI, and he actually cut that Sgt. Pepper Audio 5 red vinyl version that they did in like 1984, whatever, the one that's limited to 1,000 that goes for mega bucks. I've had that in my hands before.
I'm very interesting to see how those compare to the blue. I have the blue originals. I
So
I will have them soon, John.
I do have some originals that I'm going to compare. I just recorded 3 of them last night, and I'll record the other 3 after this today.
Cool.
Blue labels.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd like to know that.
Can you show the
Okay,
link
that's
to everybody?
yeah, sure. Where did I put those things? Damn it.
That back in black you sold me, Patrick, sounds incredible.
Yeah, those
I have one on my way, George.
So
It's so
maxi
good.
cut is my new thing right now. I'm all about the maxi cut. So there's that's the label. These were all hand etched, and these were all cut on the same run. This is it. They must have done this. This is just a special cut just for this box set. So yeah. Okay. Tim, you want to go next?
Sure.
Hey, Raphael.
This is about George had mentioned this as possibly a topic. Andy Partridge XTC is kind of overseen. He has this label in the UK called the Ape House, and they're slowly but surely releasing all of the XTC catalog on 200-gram vinyl. This is important. We're talking about having things in print and available for fantastic music. And, this is really an audiophile pressing. Now, I will say, though, that about a month ago, I found in Boulder, Colorado, an original UK, and it's a double LP. It was released as a double LP. Just, I don't know, a little more life, a little more slam. But the reissue is really, really nice. And I think George had talked about it. We were emailing back and forth last night, and I think he agrees with me, but he thinks that the Ape reissues, there is one that has bettered the OG. I think I might know what it is, but I'll if he wants to talk about it, he can. But I was just really, really pleased to find this UK original. This was this album came out in 92, I think. After Oranges and Lemons, and it was a very limited run on vinyl. So I also think the artwork beats the reissue. I kind of like the accented gold, but
those Ape reissues are great.
They're very nice.
Yeah,
definitely not dogging them.
Yeah.
All right, George, on that note.
Okay, well, that was the one that I was going to show because I thought Tim was going to go the other direction, and I thought he was going to show the original UK of English Settlement.
Yep.
This one also has a little Andy Partridge doodle on the back where he drew a face on there and signed it.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. Cool.
So the one that I think beats the OG is of this record called Mummer. Mummer is a transitional record for XTC. So they had released English Settlement and they started to kind of blow up. You know, this is like 1982. And then Andy Partridge, the main songwriter singer guy, sort of had there's the repress, the Ape House repress right there. It shows the original cover art. So what happened was they were just taking off. They were starting to get bigger gigs. They were. I think they opened for the Police on the Synchronicity tour in America, and they were just about to take off. But Andy started having all these sort of panic attacks, and he was having some issues with anxiety and stuff, and he just wasn't cut out for the game of touring and interviews and all this kind of stuff. So right when they're at the apex of, that moment when your next record's going to take off, he just bails out and says, I'm not going on the road anymore. And back then, I think there's only one band that we all know that got away with not touring anymore. And it had to be an ultra big band. And so the record company was just like, this is where it's over. And so he sort of sat in his garden, mumbling to himself and trying to figure out what the next move was going to be with an acoustic guitar, and wrote this album, which I really like. This is probably, a lot of people say that this is not one of their favorites. I really like this record, and I think that this one sounds better than the original in that case. So, but for me, here's an original Drums and Wires that's on Virgin, and this one has songs that aren't on the new version because they did the American version where they took off Life Begins at the Hop, and there's a different song, but this sounds better to me, and all the other ones just slightly. So with that being said, and this is what Tim and me were talking about, if you go out and you get these new XTC records, you're fine. You don't have to go. It's just like when Jason was saying, like, don't go after the turquoise Zep 1. You're okay with, another one. Don't do this like I did. And I would say that too. It's really hard to find, those original pressings, and the new ones are just fine.
Well, how does the US pressings, because I have originals that were sent to me of Mummer and of Skylarking. I have a promo of Skylarking. How do the US pressings stack up for XTC against the UK?
I think the UK ones are usually better, but then again, you usually find, for some reason, different songs between them as well as sound.
Well, for English Settlement, the US version came out like a year later, and it was always a double album in the UK. There's a truncated one record version out there, which you don't want. They finally, I think in '86, they put out Geffen, got the rights to XTC in the US, and there is a 2-record version of English Settlement out there on Geffen, which is okay, but it's quite good. It's a very well recorded album, but the UK beats it.
Are the Apes still in print? Are they still in print?
Yeah, I think you can get them direct from the Ape House website. I think you can go directly
$30,
to Andy's,
right? Something like that. $30, something like that.
The other thing, I don't want to hog too much time, but the other thing is, if you ever find these 12-inch 45 RPM maxi singles, oh my God,
yeah,
these
incredible.
are amazing.
Of ecstasy.
I
love those 12-inch singles. Any 12-inch single, I'm all about.
Woo.
And then Patrick, about the Skylarking, there's this whole folklore about Skylarking. Rundgren produced it. If you've ever been in a studio with Todd Rundgren, he reads a magazine while he's recording. He's just got everything's going on, and so there was a lot of friction between Andy and Todd Rundgren. Todd would just be like, it was good enough, we're fine, and I think we should do this again. No, we're fine, let's move on. And so there was that part. Then what happened was, supposedly someone found out that the low frequencies on Skylarking all the way up until very recently were out of phase. And I think it might have been when Steven Wilson was in there kind of remixing everything and doing surrounds and stuff. And then they supposedly corrected that and made it better. It's arguable. I have the UK first pressing of Skylarking. I have the American one. I have the one with Dear God and the one without. I think the UK's are the way to go for me, even though they fixed a supposed problem in the studio.
All right, John.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a Nico album, Chelsea Girl. You know, good old West Texan music here.
These days.
Yeah, this album to me is just really great. I really like it. It's more acoustically based, and whenever you're getting into acoustic based albums, I prefer, if I can, a lot of times mono. So, and it's the preferred version is mono, but those monos are just ridiculously priced. They're $300 for a mono if you can find one, and you want to have this one in quiet condition. So I ran across that this was in the box set that they did, the Velvet Underground box set on Sundays. Also put out a reissue of it by Kevin Gray. And this sounds very nice. It's really good sound. So that's my find. And also,
are they selling those separately now?
Still affordable. Well, I think I don't know if Kevin Gray did the box. I think he did do the box, and they're out of print, these, but you can still find them. It took me a while. This would be one you would have to be patient on, but this one cost me $52 compared to $300.
So there are two boxes. There's one that was pressed
Yes.
at Rainbow, which I have,
Yes.
and then there was the one that's pressed at RTI, I think, or Palace. I can't remember which one.
Yes, the second box apparently is a better fidelity.
Yeah.
But they're both done by Kevin Gray.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the box I have. I have it right up here, but I mean, it sounds fine to me. But
Yeah.
someone recently, I think it might have been Alex, somebody sent me a white label promo of that in mono, and I just recently recorded that in a beautiful white label promo mono. Oh, it was. I know it was. Vinyl Piper. That's it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This doesn't quite match the sound. I have heard the mono, and it doesn't quite match the sound, but it's very close. And the thing about it is it's another one of those things where it's the mix that counts to me. And if it's in good fidelity, which this is on the Sundays label, and it's mono, the preferred mix, then you're getting a much better deal than having to go out and buy that $300 item. I have one more to show. That's a braggart thing. Okay, it's a recent find.
Remember, you know what? You know you're going to get trumped by Jason. You know that, right?
I know.
Okay, just so you know. All right.
I think Jason's going to know this. This is a jazz album. This is a Clifford Jordan album, and it's called Glass Bead Games. This is on the Strata East, and if anybody knows about the Strata East labels, they are very, very pricey. This one I've been looking for quite a while. Somebody came up on the forums and sold it for a relatively good price. What kind of music is this? I wouldn't call it avant-garde. I think it would be right in your wheelhouse, actually, Patrick. It's just kind of on the edge. It's not the bop. It's got some nice smooth things to it, but it's a classic album. So that's on the Strata East label.
Cool.
Yeah, it's more my wheelhouse than that Japanese UFO phenomena you got showing back there.
I had that for my worst confession, but we'll say that for next time.
There you go. Okay, I'm proud of you. All right, Thor, what you got for him?
So I was inspired by John's suggestions, but it would explode the frame of the panel. But something I was so inspired when he said, like, 3 albums of a band which sound great, or 3 albums of a producer which sound great. So I will just do a mixture. What Patrick said, the recent finds, and the recent finds I did also cover the origin of the country of origin. And here in Germany, it's very difficult to find, very, very rare albums. So I was on a record fair last Saturday near my hometown, and I came across this beautiful album I love that very much. This Rose Tattoo Rock and Roll Outlaw. And the guy who sold it, he didn't know it is the blue label. You can see it's not the black one, it's the real first pressing. And I had for a long time the German pressing of that one, and I was just blown away how better this Australian pressings. The German sounds really like shit. I have to say it as it is. The German, I was used to the German original pressing, but when I heard this Australian pressing, I was amazed how good this country of origin pressing sounds. And he only wanted like $80, and I said, okay, I have to take it. And it's a complete near mint condition. I was so blown away how much better this one sounded.
Wait a minute, Thor. Wait a minute. Didn't you sell me the German one?
Yeah, the German one sounds okay.
So you gave me the shit one.
No. Listen. Relatively speaking, John.
I know
in
what
comparison,
you mean. I'm messing with you, Thor.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know
Germans know have good sarcasm. You know this. It's not a shitty German pressing, but I was sitting on my couch and I was listening, honestly speaking, to a different album. The bass, the drums. I couldn't. My jaw was open the whole time. The same was with this one, like Patrick showed. I found at the same record fair, I found the high voltage Patrick showed. This is also one of the early pressings, blue label. Really, really superb maxi cut. This is also a maxi cut. It is a completely different experience to hear these in the country of origin. I was amazed. And this was really, for me, in a German record fair, to find such stuff. This was really amazing. And then I found another one which impressed me so much, because I have the Porky Peckham UK, the Porky Peckham US of that, the Plum Porky Peckham of that one, and the US Monarch of that one. And I have to say, this French first pressing, it sounds utterly fantastic. I think for the money you have to pay for the French pressing, this sounds so good. I was amazed how good this first French pressing of Led Zeppelin 4 sounds. And this is not country of origin, but it sounds really wonderful. And it's not easy to get a clean copy in the quiet parts. But this one, I found it's like near mint, maybe excellent. And it's like 35 euros. And it sounds phenomenal, at least on my humble system. This was a really, really cool value for money find. This was really fantastic. So then I was thinking, John's suggestion, 3 albums by a producer, which I like very much and which I love very much. So I like what Rick Rubin did to this one, to the Cult Electric. This is maybe my favorite sounding rock album with Back in Black. From the sound-wise, this I use to calibrate my system when I'm into rock or metal. I think, for me personally, this album has a super fantastic sound, and this would be the first one which I would show from Rick Rubin. I know he is not really respected by many, but I love his work on that record. And then the second one from Rick Rubin I really love is Danzig. This is the original US pressing of Danzig. I like what he did on that album. No reverb, very dry, punchy, very nice attack. I love what he did for that one. So this would be the second from a producer, second fantastically produced album. And the third one, of course,
one second, Thor. I have breaking news. All right, Christopher, sorry. I have to ask you, Christopher, did you or did you not sell lots of heavy psych records? Let me know in the comments below, because Lord knows you ask every time someone has an auction if there's heavy psych. So you better have sold a shitload of heavy psych. So sorry, I had to get that.
So, and the third one I want to show from Rick Rubin, the trilogy of the great produced album by a producer is Slayer, Rain and Blood. For me, the best produced and best written thrash metal album of all time. And what he did here is nothing short of a masterpiece. This is really how a thrash album should sound. So I was so inspired by John with this producer or band, So this would be the 3 for a great producer. So Rick Rubin, kudos to his work on these 3.
Okay, so before we go to Jason, where there was this. So I don't think Thor debunked the country of origin myth. I think Thor showed something that was an exception to the country of origin, which I don't think is actually a myth. I think that's a good starting 100%. Point for just about anything. You know, 100%. I mean, you know, so I mean, it's not a be all end all.
I think that's a good point, Patrick. It's
exception to the rule. Definitely exception to the rule. There's one more, Patrick, and I'm so thankful you showed me that one. The Black Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, the original Warner US pressing sounds better than my first UK WWA pressing, which I hunted down for years, and then Patrick comes up and he said, "Hey, take the US pressing," and freaking hell, the US pressing really sounds better. And it's again an exception to the rule. It is not a debunking. I would never say it's a debunking. It's
not to go too far down a rabbit hole, but this gets back to me. It reminds me of the Doors situation that Jason was showing. So the Vinyl Me Please sounds fine to me, but the Doors, probably the original, sounds much better for various reasons. And that, to me, that comes down to this, to get a basic foundation of just exactly what are you listening for? You know, what are you listening for? That way you know when you hear it, instead of thinking, well, this sounds pretty good to me. Well, what is it you're listening for exactly? it's a whole different topic, or a whole different rabbit hole to go down.
But John, this is a beautiful topic. I hate when I want to listen to music. I want to listen to I want to have fun. I'm not sitting down and I listen, oh, is this Dark Side of the Moon now better than the other one? If I put on a record, I sit on the couch and I play air drums or I play air guitar. I am not sitting down and I analyze, oh, this mono has that in Sweet Home, this and that flaw. So this is not my kind of listening to records. Analytical shit is boring, you know. If you find, like we do now this evening, if you find a pressing, like I found this French pressing of Led Zeppelin, I didn't know that it can sound so good, you know. So this is really something which people can all. Another example, Patrick, you know that also. Wish You Were Here. The A1, B3, Wish You Were Here is so difficult to get in a clean. I had now 5 of those fuckers. I had now 5 of them in my home, and not one was in a really, you can say, you know, not campfire crackle, but not one was silent, not one. And then I came across the German 1C catalog number 1C064 of the Wish You Were Here, and I was blown away. This sounds so good for between 30 and 550 euros. It sounds marvelous compared to 150, 300, 400 for original UK pressing.
So I'm not going to talk about my Nimbus then. So yeah.
Yeah, Nimbus is the king. Okay, but we are talking here value for money stuff, and this is for me excellent advice. You had that, Patrick. You had it ripped many times, and I bought it after you ripped the German one.
Okay,
so,
Patrick.
Hang on. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say something real quick before we move to the big guns with Rojas here, because I know he's going to pull something good. But Thor said something that I just wanted to talk about. He said like he uses it to test systems. Speaking of this record that Tim had shown, this record I think is one of the best recorded records I've ever heard in my life. This record, no matter what pressing you get, I've been using this to test systems since it came out in 92.
Okay.
You know, you get a record that you trust. It has full frequency response. It's got depth, dimension, dynamics. It's got panning, you know, schemes that let you know what's happening when you're listening to a system. This is I carry around 96K 24-bit files of this on a hard drive whenever I walk into a studio. And before we do anything, I play this record because it sounds so good. And so again, it's just one of those types of records for me. And I just wanted to point out that Thor made a good point. You find a record that you really trust, you really like, and it's really well recorded, and you stick with that all the time.
George, I'm thankful that you say this is your ears. I don't even know ecstasy. So for me, I'm a metal and a rock guy. So I know what I want from a system. I want the warm response. I don't want the fatiguing highs. I don't want a thin compressed soundstage. So I have to check what records, like Back in Black, for example. For me, Back in Black, I have only the Robert Ludwig, but soon I will have the Australian. So this is also one album which I know by heart, and it has a beautiful balanced sound. And these are the ones, every one of us has these things you to look for.
I mean, I say it all the time. I say, don't let anybody else tell you what you like. If your ears like it and you enjoy it, then that's what's important. That's why I do these audiophile challenge things where I let you listen to and let you decide. You know, there's no right or wrong. If you like it, you like it. I mean, but there's a point here, this country of origin thing. So you can get country of origin in cheaper modes, like this guy's mentioning Dutch pressings from UK plates. You can a lot of the British colony countries, they would ship the plates to them, like South Africa, Israel, there's Australia, New Zealand. A lot of these places, like I got an OG Vertigo of the first Uriah Heep album pressed in South Africa from the UK metal parts, you know, for like $30, and that album goes for like $200 for a UK. So if you search for, if you do, and you do this for Black Sabbath, a lot of times like Donald Fagen, the Night Fly, they ship the parts over to Japan. You get the nice, quiet Japanese vinyl, but you know, with the mastering from the US by Robert Ludwig. Same thing with like Enter the Outdoor by Led Zeppelin. You get the strawberry mastering on the quiet Japanese vinyl. Those are the Japanese pressings that I personally go for. That's just me. So now, I mean, should we just Jason, go ahead, do your thing, dude. I mean,
no, before I do it, John. No, John, what were you going to show? You're going to show that UFO.
Oh, sorry. Oh, hold on.
No. I was just going to say that I was going to explain to Patrick. It's kind of off topic, but if you look on Discogs, but they fooled me. You got to be careful with Discogs. You know, if you think you're getting something, you're not. The stamper information on Discogs is wrong. It actually matches the UK. So I thought, oh wow, this is one they did that way, where they use the same stampers. But when I got it, it's not. It's I think it's an S1, not a 1U or whatever that is.
Does it have that little lightning bolt symbol on it? Like
yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't sound bad, to be honest, but it's a first press.
Don't kid yourself, John. It does sound bad. So.
Just be careful when you're doing that. When you're on Discogs,
ask questions. Ask questions. I mean,
I just took it for granted that was going to match. It had the OB and everything. I thought, oh yeah, it's got UK stampers, and I didn't want to clue the guy in.
Yeah. All right, Jason, what you got, man?
Bring it, Jason.
All right, are we ready? Just kidding.
Oh man, look at
that. Is that a one step? Is that a one step?
It's a UHQR.
Is that a first pressing mono?
Clear vinyl.
I think the Rev Rock Roland will be all over that.
So. Clarity vinyl. No. So I wanted to show this.
Look out.
Because this is very interesting, isn't it?
Oh, now, it better not have the first label. I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, he's got the photo credits under the S and not the end of the G. That's an OG right there.
Oh God! If you pull out I don't want to see the label. I don't. Oh, fuck you, dude.
You're going to make us do another cry.
So to tell you the truth, you know, the comparison between this, the 2014, right? And we'll even go deeper. Let's go deeper. The yellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same metalwork on here, okay?
Yeah.
There isn't, like, I'm going to be honest, my opinion, there isn't a difference between this, the OG, and this. I guess you would call this the second pressing, right? Where you see that.
Yeah, they go all the way up to like 7th iterations of the first pressing. They go through up through the 6 or 7 versions of that. But yeah, they're all cut from the same, allegedly from the same parts.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same. So again, don't be crazy like me. Just get this guy. I know that this thing is super hot, you know, I get it. Okay. And I was curious too, because I needed to know, right? I'm that nuts, right? Black gold Parlophone label, you know. But I mean, the 2014 is no slouch. The difference is like this cuts out the mid-range and kind of boosts up the low end, which I guess that's what they wanted, you know, and it's not a problem. I think Andrew from Parlogram was like, he liked this more, but to me, I like the mid-range on this.
Well, to be fair though, Andrew from Parlophone also preferred that frickin' singles box set that came out a few years ago that I thought wasn't that good either. So I mean, they're very informative. I love most of what they do, but but as far as like audio synergy, me and him aren't always on the same page. But I would agree with you that the 2014 mono box of Please Please Me is stellar. It's one of the better ones in that box.
Correct. I mean, and they tried, they tried hard to get that label right. You know, so there you go, Patrick. That's my hot one. Right?
All right, hold on a second. You got to take it out of the sleeve. I want to see it up close. So yeah,
Of course.
you can't just show it inside the frickin' jacket. I mean,
Does
come on,
anybody
Yeah.
have a handkerchief, please?
dude. Yeah.
Oh man, Patrick, what are you doing? Here we go.
Oh God.
Wow.
Yep. There you go. You know what's funny though is that
Nice,
you know
Jason, nice.
I remember the first time I ever saw a yellow and black parlophone in the wild. I remember how excited I got. I remember that feeling in my, I was literally, it was like going, oh, this is so cool. I mean,
Dick James credit, not Northern songs. Come on, do it right.
it looks like it's been played a few times.
It was loved.
Yeah. Yes.
It's impossible to try to get this like in a near mint. Like
But a lot of those, like I said, if you have the right stylus profile, can get down beneath where all those freaking console needles, the Victrola needles, have been plowing it at 5 grams of stylus force, over the years.
Yeah, I mean, like I play this like sparingly, because I'm like, oh my God,
Oh, sure.
what am I doing? John, do not cry on this panel.
Yes.
I'm depressed now.
Should be
Oh, man.
No, I'm happy for
Those
you.
are
I'm
nice,
happy,
Jason.
guys.
Thanks, buddy.
So
I'm
again,
happy
not-
for you, Jason.
just get this.
Outwardly, I'm happy for you, Jason. Inside, I want you to die. So yeah.
No,
I mean,
honestly speaking, the
So get the
2000
second pressing mono.
no, the 2014 is so nice. I'm happy with that one.
Yes. So anybody, I'm a friendly person, right? I'm real, right? If you're ever in Minnesota, you want to hang out, you want to listen to this beast, right?
literally, that would be the
Come
only
over,
reason
try
to go to Minnesota would be to listen to Jason's record.
Right.
That's the only reason to
Listen
go
to
to
this.
Minnesota.
And to the first Led Zeppelin.
Yes, have a good cry with that. Both of those albums, right?
So
If I come over, I'm going to bring the Abbey Road half speed of Exodus and make you listen to that and have you cry because you bought QHQ.
I mean,
but your consensus is the second pressing, right?
yes, because it's
Well, I mean, they're second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth that all use that yellow and black parlophone, and they all use the
right.
I think it's one N. Is it one N? Is it or is it?
Yeah, it's
I
one.
think the first is one N. Yeah, one N. They didn't go U at that point. It was N. So
But they did a good job on the 2014, right?
they did.
Yeah,
it was
they were-
it was the one they had to assemble on the 2014. So what they found was when they took the master tape apart, all the leader tape and the gum and the the glue was coming apart, and you got to run it in one continuous thing. So they had to take it apart and reassemble it onto a new tape. So, I mean, but they did it obviously with care, and it sounds fine.
George, I'm
I
glad
thought it was
you're
one
here,
of the better
man.
ones.
Well, and the thing about those golden black labels is that they had already switched over to the yellow and black labels at that point, but they just had some left over. And so they said, well, let's just, they were notorious about using all of their stash. So you're getting the same parts, but they did just that label switch over and those little rarities. You find that also with a lot of other Beatles where they misprinted something or put something out of order, or they had the wrong songwriting credit or something like that. And people will go crazy over those and the price will go up, but you're still getting the same record, really.
Yeah, all the monos were tube cut, and there was a good Hoffman forum that gives you all the stereo tube cuts. They give you all the matrix for the tube cuts. I love the tube cut stereos. They're some of my, especially Beatles for Sale in stereo. The tube cut versions, it's my favorite. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So, well, we're almost at about an hour and a half. Anybody want to put any closing notes before we leave? I'll let y'all go across the board if you want to share something or plug something that's coming up on your channel, or plug some other live streams you're going to be on where you're going to annoy people or make people mad. So whatever. There you go. Ice castles. There you go. I annoy the hell out of people, so I'm all about that. So yes. That we should all cry because he's showing ice castles. There you go. I mean, fuck the Beatles. It's ice castles, dude. Come on. All right, Jason. Thor, you got anything you want to share? Any more metal minutes on Rachel's? You're gonna be having an auction coming up. Anything going on?
Yeah, I will try to step in Rachel's one. Sometimes, not every day anymore. And the auction, I go to India next Friday. So for 2 weeks after I come back from India, maybe there will be.
Oh, maybe you get
auction.
some Indian Beatles 78s while you're there.
Oh my God. Something
Tim,
like
what
that.
you got going on, man? Besides improving your Wi-Fi down in the man cave.
I've got an extender. I had a problem with my cable TV the other day. I was like, is this interfering? I'm going to be in Seattle next weekend, so I might do a little guest appearance with Mazzy. I need to talk to him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Anyway.
So you're going to do your record shopping there, I would assume?
Yeah, I'll do a little record shopping and looking around. And I've been on the Steve Westman Roundtable as well lately, so you can see me there. And I
Okay.
also do my own videos when I have time.
All righty. All right, George, what you got going on besides the stream at 6 o'clock tonight?
That's about it. Is that we'll be on. Maybe Bandy will show up again, and maybe Nick P will show up. Pantazzi, however you want to say it. He's in here, and
He's the only person with worse internet than Tim.
And hopefully we'll get our caravan of VC stars going again. Last week we had Patrick himself and Ron Beaudry, and we'll see if we can get some more people up and talk about new records we found. That's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Mr. Bandy?
Yeah,
You'll be in the peanut gallery coming near you, throwing peanuts left and right.
I guess I'd like to get a channel name, maybe a vote for a channel name or something. I don't know. I've been looking into that. I just haven't decided which topics and that type of thing. I'm enjoying.
How about Mo Bandy's cousin?
There you go. Maybe Mo Bandy's Records or something.
You
I'll
get
be
a lot of
listening
country
to
guys.
some Captain Beefheart tonight, of course.
Okay. All right. So for me, I have my Sunday live stream. I'm probably do a little bit later so I don't interfere with George. What else is going on? I don't know. There's a record show in a few weeks in San Francisco. I think we might be meeting up with George and hanging out for that one. It's the KUSF. Did you have something else you want to say, Jason, real quick?
No, I'm just going to compare these bad boys later. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's
What
up.
you got there?
Whoa,
What is it?
Crickets.
Oh, wow. One's an original and one's an analog production. So that'd be an interesting thing. So
Nice.
for the next time. So someone asked if we do this regularly. I'd like to do this every 2 to 3 weeks, somewhere around there. So, but I'm just still trying to feel it out. But I do enjoy having everyone here. I think having George and Tim here was a nice thing. I enjoy. So I think I don't want to really get it any bigger than this. I think 6 people's enough. I may add a rotating person in case somebody misses, but I think anything more than 6, and it's going to get kind of out of control.
Yeah.
It's like the Brady Bunch, but the parents and Alice are gone.
Yes, which can be a good or bad thing. Well, thanks everyone, especially you out in the peanut gallery, for being here.
Thank you, Patrick.
Try to get questions and stuff, and you guys are great. We could have definitely dove down a Bowie rabbit hole even further, but try to be a little bit more structured next time. But this was kind of a spur of the moment thing. So appreciate everybody, and we'll see you next time. And remember, go to everybody's channels and support each other.
6 o'clock.
Bye, everybody.
George's.
Yep.
See y'all.
See you then. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.